For years, the rivalry between Katt Williams and Kevin Hart has been one of comedy's most talked about Cold Wars, full of accusations, indirect shots, and years of tension that never truly seem to fade. But now, after Netflix's massive live roast event, the internet is convinced that Katt Williams may have delivered the most brutal message Kevin Hart has ever heard directly to his face. And people are calling it disturbing. It all happened during the Roast of Kevin Hart, streamed live on Netflix as part of Netflix's 2026 Joke Fest, hosted by Shane Gillis. This wasn't just another comedy special. It was a 3-hour spectacle packed with celebrity appearances, deeply personal jokes, and the kind of public humiliation only a roast can get away with. The venue was the Kia Forum in Inglewood, and it was packed wall to wall. Sitting in the audience were major names like Jennifer Lopez, Tom Brady, Pete Davidson, Chelsea Handler, Jeff Ross, Lizzo, Draymond Green, John Stamos, and even Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos. Everyone was there, and from the moment the show opened, nobody was taking it easy on Kevin. Tom Brady kicked things off by presenting Hart with a custom Knicks jersey, joking about how the GOAT roast somehow went from him to Kevin. He compared his 7 championship rings to Kevin's 2 ride-along credits, and the room exploded. That was just the beginning. For 3 straight hours, Kevin Hart got hit from every angle: his height, his movies, his family, even his late absentee father. The jokes were ruthless. Regina Hall delivered one of the night's darkest moments when she pretended to receive messages from Kevin's late mother, Nancy. She joked that Kevin's movies weren't shown in heaven, but his father was apparently enjoying them in hell. The crowd lost it, but nothing compared to what happened next, because then Regina Hall introduced the one person almost nobody expected to see, Katt Williams. The room changed instantly. People stood up. The murmurs turned into screams, because everyone knew what this meant. Katt and Kevin's feud wasn't casual. It had been public, personal, and ugly, especially after Katt's explosive 2024 interview, where he called Kevin Hart a Hollywood plant and questioned his entire rise to fame. And now here he was, on Kevin's stage, at Kevin's roast, live on Netflix. And Katt did not walk out like a guest. He walked out like a man arriving to collect a debt. His first words told everyone exactly what kind of night this was about to be. "I'm surprised they invited me," he said. "That's how little star power you have. They had to start inviting your enemies." The crowd erupted. "I said I hate him." They said, "Come anyway." That was it. From that moment forward, Kevin Hart's roast became Katt Williams' masterclass in public destruction. Every line was precise. Every pause was intentional. Every joke felt like it had been waiting years to be delivered. Katt looked directly at Kevin and said, "Very humble of me to be at your GOAT roast tonight. Kevin, I won an Emmy Award, but this is going to be my best acting tonight, as I pretend like you were a GOAT for the people at home." The audience howled. Even Kevin laughed. But then Katt sharpened the knife. He mocked Kevin's comedy itself. "Kevin," he said, "you're going to hear some things tonight that you're not familiar with." He paused. "Those things are called punchlines." The Kia Forum exploded. People were doubled over. Kevin threw his head back laughing. But everyone knew that joke wasn't just a joke. That line carried years of real resentment. It was Katt saying, publicly and unapologetically, that he never believed Kevin Hart was funnier than him. And he said it on Kevin's own stage. Then he turned toward the industry itself. Looking across the stage at the celebrities and executives assembled, Katt asked, "Is this the best the industry could put together?" Then he dropped one of the most talked about lines of the night. "I'm not sure if the Illuminati is real, or if this is the junior varsity version." And then he said the quiet part out loud. "For those of you just joining us, Kevin and I have beef. And I'll tell you why." He pointed straight at Kevin. "This man stole everything from me." The room exploded again. "Before he saw my act," Katt said, "he was a 6 feet 3 inches white man. Absurd. Ridiculous. Hilarious." But underneath the joke was the accusation Katt has been making for years, that Kevin copied his energy, his style, his path, and became the version of success Hollywood wanted instead. That was always the real wound. Katt believed Kevin wasn't chosen because he was better. He believed Kevin was chosen because he was easier to control. And then came the apology that wasn't an apology. Yes, Katt said. I said Kevin was a Hollywood puppet. What I meant was the head of Netflix literally had his hand up Kevin's as telling him what to do. And the wildest part? Ted Sarandos was sitting right there in the audience. That joke landed like a grenade, because it wasn't just Kevin being roasted anymore. It was power. Hollywood. The machine. Everything Katt has been accusing for years. Then came the line that sent social media into chaos. Katt referenced certain party rumors and joked that Kevin always gets very quiet whenever those conversations come up. He implied that silence says everything. The internet immediately clipped it. Within minutes, it was everywhere. Because people weren't just hearing jokes anymore. They were hearing accusations disguised as comedy. That's what made it feel disturbing. This wasn't a roast. It felt like a reckoning. To understand why this hit so hard, you have to understand their history. This feud goes back more than 2 decades. Back when both men were rising through stand-up at the same time. Katt Williams exploded first with specials like The Pimp Chronicles and unforgettable roles like Money Mike and Friday After Next. He was fearless, electric, a comedian who could dominate an arena with nothing but a microphone and pure charisma. Kevin Hart came differently, more polished, more commercial, more aligned with what Hollywood studios wanted to sell. That difference created the fracture. Katt saw Kevin's rise as manufactured. He believed Hollywood chose Kevin, not because Kevin was better, but because Kevin was safer, more controllable, an industry favorite. That belief exploded publicly in January 2024 during Katt's viral interview with Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay. That interview broke the internet. Katt said in 15 years, nobody in Hollywood remembered going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show. He claimed every Kevin Hart movie had once been offered to him. He called Kevin an industry plant, and the internet devoured every second of it. Over 80 million views later, the feud had become bigger than comedy. Kevin responded carefully. Later, he admitted he regretted responding at all. Then silence. Until May 10th, 2026. Until Katt walked onto that stage. And then, after all the jokes, something happened nobody expected. Kevin Hart stood up. He stopped the show, and he addressed Katt directly. Whoa, Katt, wait. The room went silent. Not roast silent. Real silent. Kevin's voice changed. He looked at Katt and said, me and this man have been at odds for years and years. You coming out here is quite the surprise. Then he said something nobody expected. But Katt, I can sit and watch and laugh because I'm a fan first. People leaned forward. You could feel the energy change. This is live TV, Kevin said. We have an opportunity right now to put our beef behind us. Then he offered it. The olive branch. I want to be your brother. I want to be your friend. Katt, can we move on? And the two men embraced. The crowd stood. People were crying. Social media exploded. For a moment, it felt real. 25 years of tension. Gone in one hug. But then Kevin took the mic for his rebuttal set and flipped everything upside down. He smiled and said, everybody keeps saying I can't act. I want you to go back and look at that moment when I shook Katt's hand and said I wanted us to be friends. Pause. Some of the best acting of my career. The room detonated. I didn't mean one word of it. Suddenly, the emotional reconciliation turned into another joke. Or maybe not. That was the genius of it. Nobody knew where the joke ended and the truth began. Kevin kept going. He mocked the stolen movie role claims. He listed film after film. Jumanji, Ride Along, Central Intelligence, Think Like a Man, The Upside, Me Time, and asked if Katt really turned all of those down just to end up doing a cameo in Norbit. The crowd screamed. Then Kevin hit him with, you can't be in my movies. You think they want a pimp in Jumanji? Brutal. But even after all that, Kevin still ended with respect. He said Katt showed up. He showed out. And he meant what he said. The beef was over. Maybe, or maybe comedy is the only place where two men can tell the truth while pretending they're joking. Because that's what made this unforgettable. The disturbing message Katt Williams sent Kevin Hart wasn't a threat. It wasn't violence. It was something worse. It was truth, delivered as jokes on Kevin's own stage, in front of Kevin's own audience. And they loved every second of it. Katt reminded Kevin and the world that he had not lost a step, that his pen was still sharp, that his presence could still own a room. And Kevin, whether intentionally or not, admitted something just as important. Sometimes the biggest rivalries aren't about hate. They're about recognition, respect, and the painful truth of seeing yourself in the person you spent years fighting. Maybe the beef is really over. Maybe it isn't. But one thing is certain. On that stage, in front of millions, Katt Williams said everything he needed to say. And Kevin Hart let him.